you're very welcome to another episode of the South Tip Arts Podcast. Now, this Thursday, the 23rd of January at 6 p.m, our latest exhibition, Mixtape, opens here at South Tip Arts Centre. Mixtape is an exhibition curated by Helena Tobin, our director here at South Tip Arts Centre, of works from Year 3 students of Limerick School of Art and Design on the photography, film and video and sculpture and combined media programmes. So what is Mixtape? It's a curated project, it's a record, it's a negative space, a pause between a rewind and a remix. It's a love poem, it's a cure for a broken heart or a heart in full-on crush mode. The Mixtape was a rudimentary constructed series of soundscapes and heart-shaped boxes, all carefully pirated from existing tapes or moments between disc jockey rants that you could hold down, two magic buttons, play and record, to create a unique and invaluable record to give to your best mate or lover. Using this notion, abstract and familiar, the students of Limerick School of Art have compiled an exhibition of their moving image works to give you an immersive and experiential installation of video, sound, moving image and film. The works presented are from Year 3 undergrad students to give you a mixtape peppered with humour, horror, love and loss. The exhibition runs until February the 15th and will include a programme of events peppered throughout the month. You can keep an eye on social media platforms for the details of all those events. During the installation of Mixtape, I had a chance to speak to Aideen Barry, who is lecturer on the Sculpture and Combined Media programme. Aideen Barry, you're very welcome to South Tip Arts Centre.
Thank you.
We've had you here before in your own right with your own work, but this is a student show.
Yeah.
So it's called Mixtape. Now, in my head, that's very much an 80s thing, and I know what a mixtape is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lovely concept. Did your students, is it still a thing? Is it
Well, I suppose now with Spotify and Vimeo and things like that, they make their own playlists for people. So
it is still a thing.
It's still a thing. It's just a different idea.
Okay.
And I suppose the way we were thinking about this project, the students in Year 3, all in both of the disciplines I teach in, which is going to be represented in this show, is they have to make a video work in the last semester, and they have to make a video work about, their interests, their conceptual interests. So the same notions of play, record, stop, rewind, cut, play, all the language that used to go into the making of the mixtape is very much a part of the way that we manufacture video. And I suppose when we think of it now, we listen to our mixtapes on our phones, we make videos on our phones, everything is instant. We even make our own mixtapes, if you think about it, we remix our lives every day. So it was a little bit of a comment about that, about how the incidental and maybe the romantic thing of the mixtape in the past is still very much haunting us in the future.
Okay, it's a great concept. What was the genesis of it? How did you come up with this idea? Was it something that you were working on already?
Or? Well, no. I mean, every year the students have to make a video project or a moving image or film or lens-based media project. And I work, it is not just me, I work with a whole load of fantastic colleagues in Limerick School of Art and Design who help support them making their video works. And when I say video, I really mean they make a whole load of animation. You'll see references to music videos and what they're making here. They make films, they use darkroom techniques to develop 35mm photographs which they then animate, things like that. And then they also make their own sound scores to partner with, the sculpture students make their own sound scores to partner with their videos. And they have to have everything finished for another project before Christmas that my colleague Merlin Lennon runs, called Space to Screen, where they have to cite their videos and moving image works off-site. But in this case, both the disciplines, both photography, film and video and sculpture and combined media, they also have a show at the end of year. And usually the shows are off-site and they find redundant spaces and they organise their insurance and they work with our health and safety team to develop projects. But it's becoming increasingly harder, I guess, because the bust is over, the boom is on, and finding spaces for the students to have off-site shows and redundant spaces is becoming a kind of an impossibility. Yeah. So then my very good friend, our mutual colleague, Helena Tobin, told me that her programming, she's very interested in reaching out and working with third level institutes. And as you know, we have our own campus here in Clonmel, and I thought, well, I'll make a proposal to her that we realise the show in a kind of a mixtape notion, And the students will also, over the course of the month, work with Helena to manifest these kind of moments to her curatorial brief. So some of the students are thinking about doing performances in the gallery space and in the workshop space here. Students are talking about doing sculptural interventions. Our photography, film and video students did an amazing cassette loop. So the actual tape cassette, they made cassette loop sound scores, and they're thinking about doing a performance and workshop with that as well. Yeah. So the whole thing, the haunting of the mixtape is going to be a whole thing that's going to move in and out of the whole project.
It's so multidisciplinary now. Yeah. Like everything seems to, like the sculpture and combined media. Like I was in Limerick years and years ago.
I remember you telling me that before. So
it strikes me as that it's just completely different to when I was there, like which would be about 20 something years ago. But even then it was starting to become something else, I think. And then the choice of media is just, I mean, I know a lot of print people go into things like video as well, and it's brilliant. I love that everything crosses over with everything else. I suppose that's a sign of the wider art world and what's going on.
It's definitely picking up with that. I think we are always asking ourselves questions about what is art. You know, because it's always in a state of flux and things are changing all the time. And you see people like Childish Gambino, who's an artist, an actor, a director, making a music video that's effectively changing the discourse around politics and, say, the position of African Americans in America right now, gun violence, things like that. It's not just about the medium of the music video and music, it's also kind of the wider messages. So the idea that, I guess, these music videos are music and the way moving images mediated now is they are Trojan horses. I had a student of mine, Finn Nicol, who's in the show, he said that, and I'm quoting him, they are Trojan horses to larger conversations about the role of art in the world right now. And I think that's a really, really interesting thing for artists to be thinking that way. And I suppose we're really privileged in our role as educators. The students come to us, but they have all these other lives around their arts practice. So we have students who are opera singers, they're in punk bands, they're part of the DIY scene, they're programming music events. So before that was kind of almost a separate thing. Now we're like, bring the drag show in, bring it into the practice. Talk about your transitioning. Talk about these things. Talk about the mechanisms you use to cope when things feel overwhelming, and use that as a discourse in your practice. And that's the way we've been looking at it. And I think that's very exciting.
It's a great way to personally work through stuff on your own as well, because you're really making it personal. And also you're being very vulnerable about putting yourself out there. But that is really what you have to do.
Exactly. You have to open up the vulnerability to make really great art, I think, really. I mean, you have to protect yourself too. So there's a lot of humour. You'll see one of the students has some very, very funny work, Fiona Gordon. Like, she's kind of riffing off Instagram ads that are directed at her age group, her demographic. And she's kind of turning it back on capitalism, and it's very, very funny. Her funny bone is very much present. So I think that's really important as well, to support the students with those mechanisms in some way or other.
Absolutely. So the gallery downstairs is going to be transformed, is in the process of being transformed today.
You hear the drills going down.
And there's like 24 screens?
I think we've actually got 28 TV screens, and then we've got 2 semi-spherical screens that are our photography, film and video students, which, as I was telling you, they're going to do this amazing sound manifestation project as well over the course of the programme. But I give them a brief based on a curatorial show I was in 10 years ago. We make a sound score out of existing Foleys. So there's the BBC have an amazing Foley lab. And I create this sound score. It's 2 minutes, 30 seconds long. I give that to them and I say, you have to make the video to the sound score.
I love that idea now.
So it's a reverse array. Exactly. And that's the thing. Yeah, exactly.
It's really interesting.
And it's really interesting because each student comes up with their own unique, it really just, it's their own imagination. Exactly.
And
it's perception, everything.
Going to come up with something totally different even.
Exactly. I mean, you can hear sound. And you can even kind of picture
So they
the
all
sound.
get the same piece.
They all
but
get the
they
same
all
thing.
interpret it
So on one
differently.
screen will be projected each student's video one after the other. And then on the opposite, I must really applaud the students because they collectively came together and they've made a multi-video of all of the videos playing at exactly the same time, and the sound score plays at exactly the same time.
Wow.
So you get a sense of what it's like one after the other, and then on the opposite you get the sense of what it's like seeing them all working together.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be quite is everything on headphones?
No,
Or-
just that particular piece, that sound foley will be travelling throughout the gallery.
Okay,
Everything else is on headphones.
Yeah.
So you have the option to start off with the sculpture and combined media students and move from one screen to the next, or you can go straight into the photography, film, video students.
Okay.
And and I mean they've been working with an amazing composer called Sean O'Dowlig, doing the cassette loop project, and my colleague Lorraine Neeson, to realise amazing moving image works over the past few years. So again, all of their videos are very films are very, very different. Everything looks different, which just goes to show
it's
the
amazing,
uniquenesses of an artist.
Of us all as individuals.
And they're only third years. How exciting is that? They've a whole other year to go.
And you know
then
what? It's really, really good. And another good aspect of this project, I think, is that the kind of professional aspect of it, in that they were responsible for getting their own work into the gallery, and
getting all their own TVs, organising the sponsorship to get vans to move the screens down from Clare Street. Yeah, I have to applaud them. Like, I mean, it's going to be a tough install now next week. We have a lot to do to get done and everything. Yeah. But this is all part of what we say is their professional practice. They get to experience working with a professional gallery like yourselves. It's a public gallery, so they're considering how their work mediates or moves out from just the studio space to a public, then how they can engage that public further, and how it either works or it doesn't work, and you can learn from failure, and that's a great thing too. Learn from failure. Absolutely. If it doesn't all work, you'll see everything is very, very different. I don't think there's any one thing in this show that is similar.
It's going to be fascinating just to watch the different approaches, and it's going to take quite a while to travel through all those screens. So if you were going to come and see it, you maybe set yourself aside a little bit of time.
Or come back another day.
A few times,
So it's like listening to a different mixtape every time.
It is. It's interesting you say that, because whenever anything has a sound element, and say we're here on a daily basis, the things that stick in your head of like the little bits and snippets of, and you're listening to maybe the same thing. It was Wow and Flutter was in the it was a video piece in the, and just every day that little bird twittering away in your head, it'll be very interesting.
I think there's nearly another body of work in examining the effect of installations on invigilation and gallery staff.
Definitely, because it's
that.
interesting as well to watch people when they come in, and the reaction of the person, or like how inviting you make the space, or how engaging the space looks. Because if something isn't that engaging, people literally hang at that door and they just turn around and go again. It's too intimidating. It's too much, So this will be, I'd imagine this will bring in quite a lot of maybe younger people. Well,
we really hope so. I mean, as I said, there's a campus here from Creative Multimedia, as you know, and we really hope that young people from that campus will support their fellow students. But also we're really interested in both teenagers who make their own mixtapes, the way they mediate the world with Snapchat and everything, and then also our generation who then made mixtapes and hung out in grunge festivals
they
and things. It's quite a different way of thinking of it.
Interacting with the technology than we did, because I suppose in a way we're not, they use this phrase digital native. It really is a thing, because to see somebody younger interact with not just one device, it might be three. They're not just doing one thing. I don't know, my brain is wired to do this, and then I'll do that, and then I'll do that. They seem to be able to just
they definitely have a fluidity and everything.
Definitely, which is fascinating.
It is totally fascinating to see that in action. Totally, they're really quick. Especially with technology, is really, really easy for them. But I have to say, though, the entire, if you look at a generational presentation of my student body, we have all generations represented, from the very, very young, and I'm saying like 18-year-olds, all the way up to mature students. So it's
would you notice,
really interesting.
There's an interesting question. Would you notice that type of perceptual difference between the mature student and the younger student?
I mean,
Do they
definitely,
have different
definitely
approach?
everybody has a different approach to
Yeah.
things. And I often start off when we give the video project brief, and we would get a lot of hesitation from the mature student. Oh, I don't know how to manage it.
Yeah.
And I'm always amazed that by the end of the project, they are absolutely superstars with making video.
That can often
very
be a
interesting.
kind of a good thing in a way.
Yeah,
If
it
you
is.
don't know anything about something,
Yeah,
because you've not got any preconceptions, then
Yeah.
you're not kind of bounded by what you think
Yeah.
you should be doing because you really don't know.
It's a
Which
different
is
thing,
good.
but it's also like as well a generational thing. Like, I mean, when I started taking photographs, we were using film, so you had to really set up the shot and really consider the shot because film was so expensive.
You didn't have
and you
another
didn't
chance,
know.
yeah.
So the way you created an image, there was a different time invested in it.
Yeah.
And now it's like, now I have digital cameras and it's like, take loads of them and I'll go
And
through
I'll go-
loads of them
yeah.
afterwards and see which one works.
It just totally changes
Everything
the way you
has
work,
changed,
doesn't
yeah,
it?
totally and utterly.
yeah.
But you'll see that actually even present in the show, because we've a lot of students who are younger, who have not had any access to analog technology, and they find it absolutely magical. So they're in the dark room going, this is a magical
It's just
experience.
alchemy, yeah.
Total
It's
alchemy.
brilliant,
So they've made
yeah.
16mm films and things like
Yeah.
that, which are presented on the
Oh,
digital
excellent,
monitors too.
excellent,
So it's quite
excellent.
impressive. Yeah.
That's really good. The exhibition is going to run until
February 15th.
yeah.
And we're really excited. I mean, this is such an amazing experience for students to work with a curator like Helena and her calibre. So we are really excited that they will negotiate those other events, and we'll be putting them all out on our social media feeds and
Excellent,
everything like that to
yeah,
let you know
really
about when
look
they'll
forward
be.
to
And
that.
the students are very excited about
Okay.
those things. And again, it all adds to their professional practice.
Brilliant.
But it's such a great opportunity to partner with, like, the South Tipperary Arts Centre and something like that.
It's
So
just
really,
brilliant
really
to have you here, because it really brings a great buzz to the place, and it'll be so full of activity now.
Oh my God, next week. A blitz.
So, next Thursday evening at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
the opening is on. Everybody's welcome.
The students have also got some alcohol from a sponsorship. I'm so impressed with their turnaround and all these
Very
things. So
good.
yeah, that'd be a nice welcome
Excellent.
to everybody when they come along.
So everybody's welcome to come along to that,
Yeah.
and get yourselves in and have a look at this. It's going to be really good. Aideen, thanks so much for your time. I'm going to let you get back to your installation.
Thank you.
And,
Thanks.
Best of luck with it all.
Thank you so
and,
much.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
And following my chat with Aideen, I also had a chance to grab our director, Helena Tobin, to have a chat with me about some of the ancillary events that are going to be taking place around this mixtape exhibition in the coming weeks. So Helena, you're the director here at South Tip Art Centre. This project Mixtape was the result of a conversation that you would have had with Aideen at some point that sort of developed into this bigger idea than the one that you initially had. So
Yeah, it definitely grew legs, as they say. And what happened was I had reached out to a few people. One of them was Aideen, who we know each other professionally and as friends for a number of years. And I had just wanted to have the January slot for 2020 be give over to a recent graduate or something like that, to give a younger person an opportunity to show their work. And the idea was kind of, do you know any artists who might be kind of interested? And it kind of ended up being this thing of, well, I don't know if there's any one person that would really activate the space or whatever. And then the conversation grew and grew, and then it became how would you feel about students showing work? Because one of the things that they are spending a lot of time on at the moment in all colleges, thankfully wasn't the case when I was in college as much, where they're really trying to have them world ready. Now it's still not 100%, because obviously the majority of the coursework is related to the content and being an artist and how you make work. But they really are trying to say, look, here's an example or here's an opportunity to work in a professional context. How do you do it? And so that they kind of understand how a real world operates.
logistics and stuff like that is
exactly.
important too.
So then it became this idea of, well, okay, how about we do a show with the third year students? So some or all may go on to fourth year, but there's also some of them may not. They may finish at this year. So professional practice and kind of maybe trying to get them exhibition ready is a big part of the work. So the thought then was, well, let's go with the sculpture and combined media and photography, film and video programs, because both of those Aideen teaches on, and she was kind of saying, I think they'd be interested, and I think I could get the team at LSAD interested as well. So since then, really, it's been a couple of chats about this and that, and I've just been kind of going, yeah, brilliant, let's do it. Yeah, brilliant, let's do it. The amazing thing of working with Aideen and the team is that they're all really interested because this is a benefit for the students. Yeah. So there's been a huge amount of support, both technically and physically, where it's not been some kind of massive project undertaking that the Arts Centre has had to take on. There's been a real partnership in a case of, well, we'll provide this, you're providing the space. So Aideen got them all together and they've been kind of versed and it's part of their coursework. And now I'm going to work with them to kind of, I suppose, activate the exhibition and look at ideas of how to engage the public with their work. So we're now going to be going into a brainstorming session right after this to discuss the ideas they all have. So
it's
whether
really exciting.
Like there's real buzz in the space, which is brilliant.
You can probably hear all the voices in the background. It's unusual to have it so busy in here, but really the life in here today is just brilliant.
There's actually there's a really good energy off of it. And so I suppose what I'm going to be trying to get them to do is to think about, if they're working with a curator or working as an artist with an art centre or with any venue, how are they going to reach an audience, or what else can they do around the work to put a crack in that door and to go, come in and invite people, and also kind of go, well, you may think my work is this, but actually this is what's behind it, or let's do a workshop around the work I'm making, or something like that. So whether it be a performance, whether it be a reading, whether it be a workshop for students, whatever it might turn out to be, I'm waiting to hear all their ideas, that they're really eager to learn and they're hoping to challenge themselves. And that's the idea. The idea is a lot of these, when you're in art college, you don't work with a curator, you don't work with an outside source.
You're within your own space.
Yeah, and it can often become very conceptual and academic, and you can read all the text, but you don't know how to put it into practice. So when we talk about activating the work or anything like that, it sounds a bit whatever, but really what it's about is, your work stands on its own, but it's not an island, You need to build, for your work to do anything, or for your career to progress, and for you to get something back out of the work and develop the work, there have to be bridges going onto an island, or it has to be connected to other things, and you have to have people see it, otherwise it just doesn't really exist in its proper form. So the idea is, how do we, I suppose, look at these ideas, get people to the exhibition, but also create these auxiliary events around it where we can kind of go, right, here, come at it from this angle. How about you look at it from this point of view? Maybe let's try something else, and get different audiences in to see the work in different ways, and just help the students as well as any potential audiences just kind of maybe get a different access point, because ultimately that's what it's always about. It's always about access points and giving people a way into a language that maybe they don't understand.
So we're going to start announcing these ancillary events as they... So they'll be of quite a pop-up nature, I imagine.
Yeah. So the hope is now we'll kind of look at the timescale over the duration of the exhibition. We'll narrow down the ideas to the ones we think are going to be kind of work best and engage different audiences. And then we'll work with the students to see what dates and times over the duration of the exhibition will work. And then we'll be announcing them on our social media and our Facebook, Instagram and our website. So the best thing for anyone who's interested to do is keep an eye, because most of these will be public, open to anyone kind of things. There may be some more suitable to teenagers and some more suitable to adults. We'll see what the ideas are, but that the idea is that they'll be open to the public. So just keep an eye on all our social media and our website for kind of further updates, because I probably think it may be the end of the week before we are announcing them all, and there may be one or two that you say like pop up in the next 2-3 weeks.
It'll be really exciting actually, and for anybody coming in as a spectator, I'd say there's a lot in this show, like one viewing is not going to be enough for this.
No, and I think
you'll have to give it a few visits.
Yes, and I think what I'm really excited about as well is the fact that it's going to be so immersive. There's going to be that blackened out space, and that it's all kind of visual, it's all audio visual, it's all video of some kind or another, which may put some people off, but these students are coming from both a sculptural background, combined media, film, video, photography. So it's kind of looking at the world through, I suppose, the lens they're most used to, which is kind of moving image, but also kind of challenging us to kind of respond to that. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's going to be, it already is starting to look really exciting. I've never seen so many TV sets up on a wall. And, you know, kind of daunting but terribly exciting. And I think it's going to be something that we won't have seen in the Arts Centre ever before.
Yeah, I think you're dead right. Yeah.
And I think it's going to be kind of exciting to even just kind of come into the space and see it all lit up with screens. You know, I think it'll be visually quite beautiful.
Fantastic. I'm going to let you go to your brainstorming meeting now because it's getting louder and louder.
They're getting louder there, yeah.
And thanks a million for your time and best luck with it.
Thanks, Emer.
And that's it for another episode of the South Tipp Arts Podcast. Thanks to Helena Tobin, the director of South Tipp Arts Centre, who you just heard there, and also to Aideen Barry, artist and lecturer at LSAD in Limerick. Mixtape opens this Thursday at 6 p.m. and all are welcome, and it runs until February the 15th. As Helena mentioned, keep an eye on our social media platforms for further information about those ancillary events which will be organised by the students themselves, and you will be hearing about over the coming days and indeed weeks. We'll speak to you all again next time.